Hi guys, and welcome to our 12th episode of my microscope. Today I want to talk about the history of Benford Law. I want to talk about the definition of Benford Law. I also want to go over how Benford Law is being applied in social media to find out what's real versus what's fake. And I also want to share my own Benford analysis of comedians Led Valera, President Trump, Baby Shark, which is Pinkfong. Pinkfong is the father of Baby Shark. And then I want to also share with you this article that I found from COVID, the relationship with COVID with Benford Law. So let's first start with the history of Benford Law. So Simon Newcomb is a Canadian American astronomer, and he's also this applied mathematician. He was born in 1835. So, he's teaching. He actually taught at the US Navy and Johns Hopkins University. So he goes to the library and he needs the book of logs to just figure out calculations. And he starts looking at the tables of logarithm. When he goes there, he notices that the top of the pages of numbers whose leading digit was 1 were more worn than the pages whose leading digit was 9. So, he wrote about it. He published like an article, but no one cared. Then 50 years later, Frank Benford got that and he said, well, let me see how I can apply this to other things. So Frank Benford, he was born in 1883. And basically, he's this engineer physics and he works at General Electric at the time. And he was testing the first digits in list of numbers. So he got populations. He basically started looking at all of this, list of numbers. And he saw the behavior that when he saw the first digit choice, number 1 was basically the digit that repeated the most. So basically, the law says like, okay, you have a 31% probability that if you pick the first digit of a data, most likely 31% of the numbers are going to be 1. Then it has let me see what is like the percentages, the exact percentages. So the first digit is going to be, let me just see it right here. Okay, the first digit is going to be 30%. The second digit is going to be 17%, and also on. And the 9th digit is going to be around 4.5%. So basically, Benford Law states that instead of naturally occurring numbers, the frequency of occurrence of the first digits of the numbers will occur as shown in this table. And this is from Benford, 1938. This guy was incredible. So let me show you the formula. So the formula is just very simple. It's just, let me just put it right here. So the formula is just very simple. You have the probability of D equals 2 log of, and then you have parentheses, D plus 1 over D. Now the value of D can only be 1 through 9. So you can only put like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when you do that, that's how you get that proportion. So let me show you here. If you want to do, let's say that you put D equals 1, which is digit equals 1. So basically, look what happens. You put 1 plus 1 over 1, then you have log of 2 over 1, then you do your math, and then that's how you find out, that's how you get the Benford Law's proportions. Okay, so let's talk about Benford Law and why it's so important. The main reason this law is now being it has been heavily used, I guess, after it was discovered by accountants, because they can detect fraud by just seeing someone, let's say like you have like a bunch of tax records, and then you sit down and you start looking like at the first digit of, let's say, total gross income. I'm putting an example. Then you're going to start seeing that Benford's Law is going, is going to follow exactly what we said, right? Number 1 is going to show more than the other ones. But if you manipulate the data, then Benford's law is going to be disrupted. So it's not going to be like a really nice curve. And that's when you can say, oh, wow, someone damaged or manipulated the data. And this is big because they were able to, Enron, which, Enron is an American corporation that basically defrauded, a lot of people. And they were one of the biggest planned accounting fraud. And when other auditors were checking the data, they were able to use Benford Law to prove that what Enron was doing was manipulating the data. And when you manipulated the data, let's say that, what happened with Enron was that they will lie, they will inflate their numbers. So their shareholders were okay, not to panic. But unfortunately, all this data was fake. So accountants are able to use Benford Law to detect fraud, which I thought it was super cool. I went ahead and I researched papers or case studies, and there's so much on Benford Law and accounting that I felt that, we need to talk more about Benford laws in general. Now, what happens with, the thing about Benford Law is that it's also being used for the FBI, and Benford laws this is pretty interesting. And I got this information from Netflix, which is a show called Connected. And the episode is called Digits. So from that episode, I got this data. Basically, the enforcement agencies across the United States were able to grab all these FBI online stats, and they saw that, even like breaking the law follows Benford Law. Now, cancer rates does, infection disease cases, the interval between your heartbeats. It's just crazy how many things you can apply Benford Law. It's just, they use also Benford Law for, election fraud. So they were, I think, in the show, the guy talks about the 2000, Bush versus Al Gore election, and he goes over, the data, and they show how you can use Benford Law to determine if there's manipulation, if basically you switch it, from one candidate to the other. And according to, the show, there was I guess, it was fair. I guess Bush was the one that had to win in 2000, which, he did. Now, then why do I really care so much about Benford's Law? Well, this has been my thing. I've been, doing social media, just starting to go back to social media and YouTube and this whole thing. And I just have seen what really, really gets me a little bit scared is to determine what is real versus what is fake. I don't wear any filters or anything like that on my phone because I don't know how to do it. But besides that, it's always bothered me when sometimes people take pictures and there's so many filters, so you kind of don't know how real or fake this person is. And, when you see them in person, you kind of have like that shock. So I said, okay, part of the show, which it really, really interests me, was that the host goes to this FBI guy, and then he says, look, can you determine a real picture versus a fake picture using Benford Law? And he does. So if you have like an original picture, and then if you save it, once you save it or you manipulate the data, you can determine if a video of a picture, using Benford laws is basically if it's real or versus is fake. Then the other thing that I love about this show, and he talks about Benford Law, is that they interviewed this woman that she got all of this social media data, and he found out that anytime she will do like how many friends her friends will have, or anything that will have a first digit, basically sequence, to put it like that, that you could count your friends, or you can count like how many likes you had and so on. She found out that it will follow Benford Law. Now, out of the whole data, she found out that there were 150,000 bots, which I didn't know what a bot was. And basically what a bot is, B-O-T-S, is like a robot that tweets and behaves like a human. So you can determine if an account on Instagram is fake just using Benford Law, because apparently the bots, they cannot, they keep breaking the law. So if you put, their first digit of their followers, whatever, you will probably see that, you don't have your really nice Benford Law, or like the percentages, like, that we discussed before, will not apply. That was pretty cool. The lady said, in the show, that basically what the bots want to do is just to create chaos. It's not like they want to persuade you to go towards, like, I don't know, a candidate or anything like that. She just explains that, they like to create chaos and conflict. And that's just awful, because I think we should start using them, Benford Laws, to attack back, the social media, because that is just disturbing. I mean, she found out 150,000. I cannot imagine if she takes that data and magnifies it, what we can, determine. Then from there, on the show, that I was telling you, Connected from Netflix, he basically discusses everything that follows Benford Law, including volcano sizes across the globe. I mean, he just talks about the depth of earthquakes, distance traveled by tropical cyclones, even the weight of atoms. And then, and this was like super crazy, like the distance of all galaxies from Earth follow Benford Law. They measure light years. Everything follows Benford Law. I highly recommend you to watch this show, because I was just fascinated. He makes it very easy, really goofy, and I think it's like 45 minutes. Honestly, completely worth it. So now I want to share my own Benford analysis. And let's just, let me just show you here really quick. I have, let me see right here. Okay, so let me just get my data out. Okay, so look at this data. So I have here, so I picked three things. So I picked Les Valera's Instagram, President Donald Trump Twitter, and then the YouTube of Pinkfong. But let's go one by one. So now, why did I pick LED? Now, I have to have a lot of data. So I thought, well, I have to collect at least 500, data, or like samples, just to make sure that my data, is good. So LED has really good data. He has 531 posts, 500,000 followers, and LED's account is actually like a very recent. So I felt that this was golden data. And it was. Now, what I did is that I collected all the, like all the digits that LED had from either views or likes. So I went from the top to the bottom. And what I did is that, I created like a tally. And then from there, I went ahead and I created a table, and then I determined the graph. But what I did is that I picked 319 and then 421 and 529. So I increased the sample, so that way you can see, how the law of large numbers, that means that you're going to see like a more uniform, data applies. So apparently, yes, LED is human. So as you can see here, it follows a really, really nice Benford Law. Now, I went to President Donald Trump's Twitter. And I mean, this was, I think this data is like maybe like a year and a half. With Trump, it took me, I think in 3 weeks or like a month, I was able to collect all this data. I mean, intense. So what did I took from Mr. President Trump? Well, from President Trump, what I did is that I got the first digit of any retweet. So anytime I will see that retweet, that's the number that I will pick. And look how nicely, because I was like, I wonder if the retweets are bots or are they real people. So that's the reason why I picked the retweets. So, it follows a nice curve. Then from there, I did Pinkfong. Pinkfong has huge stats. I mean, these people have 39 million subscribers, and they're huge in the toddler and baby world. So these are the people that popularized Baby Shark. The first time I heard Baby Shark, I was in China, and my daughter came, but she was sitting in Chinese, and I didn't understand. And I was like, oh my God, it's so cute. Then Baby Shark was everywhere. It's like I sneezed and it was everywhere. And then when we came back, then Baby Shark was like very popular here in the United States. And it's just crazy the amount of money these people are making. Now, Baby Shark, they did not make Baby Shark, but anyhow, going back, they popularized Baby Shark. These people have really nice data. And I went ahead and I did the exact same thing. And what I did is that, they have really, really like high views. Like in a week, these people can have already like 2-3 million views. In a month, they can have like 29 million views. So I felt that the data was very random and it was good. And look, it still follows. They said like the numbers of views, it still follows Benford Law. So from here, the last thing that I want to show you is this really nice article that basically studies Benford laws and COVID-19. This is from the U.S. National Library of Medicine, which is I think is a little bit very reliable, not a little bit, very reliable. And it's very interesting because what they did is they did a study where they say, okay, let's find out if, so this is the abstract, and I'm just going to read it because it's actually, it's pretty good. Trust in the reported data of contagious diseases in real time is important for policymakers. Media and politicians have cast doubt on Chinese reported data on COVID-19 cases. We find Chinese confirmed infections match the distribution expected in Benford's law and are similar to that seen in the US and Italy. We identified a more likely candidate for problems in the policy-making process. Poor multilateral data sharing on testing and sampling. So basically what they did, they grabbed all the data, and this data here, as you can see here, this is the first digit pre-lockdown numbers of confirmed cases in Chinese, Providence, US states, and Italian regions. And look, China, Italy, and US, and then Benford. So it follows a Benford law. And they do all the math here, as you can see here. I felt this was the link is going to be below. It was such a nice, really, article. And it's not so much an article. This is actually a scholar's report. So it's very reliable. I wouldn't say this will be qualified on the fake news. So I thought it would be interesting for you guys to read this after you understand Benford's law and see the importance of this law. And I just feel that I felt good about it because I was like, yes, maybe we have now a weapon, against artificial intelligence. Let's see. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this little documentary. Visit me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time.